as you grow, both in life and ministry, you will not be stunned by excesses. Excesses are part of humanity. Okay? Some of them you would even commit it yourself. So it's not something strange. But you must always, have what I call guardrails. I've said it here before. To correct that excess. That, don't go that way. So there will always be that emphasis. I'm very, very convinced that there's a new wave of people just picking up titles that seems very interesting. Of course, it falls flat on the face of biblical principles and truth. But sometimes it is an indication of an excess of something that is very valid going on. So, Kenneth Hagin's emphasis, if we're not careful, I remember something I had to correct someone about, that way before believers were confused, they were widely known about marriage, divorce, and remarriage. It wasn't something you were even going to talk about. Divorce. I remember there was a Christian leader whose wife left him. She didn't just leave him, she disrupted his ministry, wanted to destroy his ministry, and some other terrible things like that. So when the man, after I guess about 9 years, I think 4 or 5 years, the wife left, I guess they were married or something. The man wanted to remarry. The explanation about it, the way with all our new Christian reality, the way we're looking at the man like, he must have missed God, was bad. So, which means in our head, we still haven't corrected the tradition that, you may not like one say forever, say was one married, forever married. So, of course, a man should stay within his marriage and a woman and intend to have it last for the rest of their lives. But I think some of those are stretched too far and can become a problem. So, when Brother Hagin now wrote Marriage, Divorce, and Remarriage, it was like a breath of fresh air. And, I remember myself and my friends, well, not my friends, maybe 3 of us, we went through that material for like 2 months. Again, looking at it and, But this is now the issue. After a while, when I asked the question, I remember Reverend Tooks was the first person who pointed it out. I'm sure it was 2003 or 4, that what we are reading is more of a correction, not the information. So, what you had in your head was preparing for divorce, not having a good marriage. Are you getting the point? Because when you learn something from correction, there is a tendency that you will have a negative, let me use Gen Z language, vibe about it. You will now be more wary and you will now be defending divorce than promoting healthy marriages. Are you following what I'm saying? Meanwhile, Brother Hagin wrote another book that wasn't even as popular, Family Life and Relationships, which wasn't as popular as that one because it was, and there's something about titles, divorce and remarriage. Someone even told me, he said, this was, somebody I naturally should respect. I still do actually. And the person said, what did he just say? He said, if you had said marriage and divorce, I said, hey, let somebody speak the counsel of God. He now said remarry. What is remarriage? He didn't read it though. So titles, as soon as the person saw divorce, remarriage, just got upset. So people went to read Midas Church thinking it was a book on, in fact, a pastor in Nigeria recommended it to his pastors. And he said, read this book. So I was asking Brother, I said, this man, has he read it? Because he was recommending the book, they were doing, don't let me give out the name. So if I begin to say what I did, you know the person. I said, this man of God read this book. As soon as I believe they read it, they took it away from their bookstore. And they didn't talk about it again. Everything Kenneth said there is what they are doing. Everything they warned against, what they are doing. So, but you should, again, if you read Midas Touch, because it's a correction, and you read, and Brother Hagin had to do a lot of that towards the end of his life. He had to do a lot of correction, And because a lot of people would naturally say there is children in the faith, and you say, children of who? Someone say, I'm a brother, hating son, and does not believe in rejoicing, does not minister the gifts of the Spirit, does not, I said, how? There's no way does not talk about flowing in the Holy Ghost. How? Do you understand? There is no connection here. Maybe, what kind of son now? Maybe the one that plays for Tottenham. You know. So, get back what I was talking about. So, what you have in your head is the correction. And that's why it's never healthy to learn any truth from the correction. So we now say that people who read marriage, divorce, and remarriage, and in their head, they are preparing for divorce and marriage. That it is not a book that should be recommended. Imagine they say, come and study a book in your premarital counsel, and they say marriage, divorce, and remarriage. I say, oh boy. Is this life about war? How would you start with that? So we cannot start studying anything from the correction. So the good way to read, he gave gifts unto men, is to have read Brother Hagin on ministry gifts. A study guide he did, and other materials. A good way to read Plans, Pursuits, and Pursuits is to have read how you can be led by the Spirit of God. It's not to start with Plans, Pursuits, and Pursuits or following God's plan for your life. You know, like I said, Brother Hagin was a strong advocate of consecration and dedication and holiness. Very strong. It's just that people like, is what they want to hear that they want to hear from you. And that's it. So just like this, you recall, if you look at how we have done this, and I'm letting you see something, you know, it will come from what it is. So in your mind, if you have been following this teaching, it's first of all clear, right, what it is. By the time we now get to what it is not, you will not have any aversion about it. Do you understand what I'm saying? So don't learn something from correction. Usually, I must mention this. I was saying something earlier. So there was this thing about, it was all over Nigeria. Who is the apostle of the congregation and all that. Somebody now came to ask me. It was one time where in front of Agbo shopping complex. He said, man of God, I'm just looking at the new move of God now. I said, are you an apostle? I said, not yet. He said, so when? I said, it depends on when I make money. He didn't know I was teasing him. You know, I said, well, do you have an apostle you are submitting to? I said, I do have. He said, well, I said, SBJ or Shofa. He had thought, he said, is that not Sele? I said, then you. He said, you are crazy, you are really crazy. The man said, let's everybody have an apostle. But Brother Hagin had already made that correction. And my dear friend also, Tunji, had done that correction amongst us as well. So that said, and importantly, we shouldn't in any way have an aversion over anything in Scripture because an excess. So, you know, don't have an aversion. You know, there's this, discernment is not an emotional thing. When you see someone, and I had to say this to some younger ministers, I said, when it comes to correction, we've learned wisdom. Even if you are discipling people, I said, use the wisdom of a surgeon. If they say, oh, there's one growth, and they now discover the growth is in a sensitive area, you really need a specialist. You don't just say, where is it again? It's under the heart. What's he doing there? Give me this one. No! Bring it out. You won't just remove the growth. You will remove the man from planet Earth. So you have to be careful. If it's about prayer is a sensitive matter. If it's about giving, you know, giving is very sensitive. You know? If it's about the move of the Spirit, handle it carefully. Because at the end of the day, you might just kill the whole thing. I know in ministry, this is not my notebook, can I continue? I know in ministry like that, we're young, I'm going to share it today on Facebook, and I've posted many times. The man was teaching, and he was teaching very well. And well, it just got to a point. It just changed. He had explained Hebrews 1 well, so this is beautiful. Redemption. Then he got to that point, he now started, he mentioned this person's name, spoke about this church, and I just felt there was really nothing this was doing in that teaching. But, well, then he now, when that thing comes on people, it doesn't stop. He just said, don't submit to anybody. And I just felt, Reverend Talks was in that meeting. And I said, don't submit to anybody. God has not made anybody submit to any human being. He said, don't submit to anybody. He said, just to the word alone. He went on. So I said, there's a contradiction here. TJ was laughing. I said, we are all here listening to you. This was in 1995. And you are saying we should submit to nobody. That means we should submit to you. Because when we listen to you, that's submission. He started laughing. As soon as I saw him laughing, he just went after Hagin. I'm telling you. And he walked out. He said, that I should watch it. That is sowing seeds. Today, that movement, what they are now emphasizing, after many years, is submission to authority. Yoruba will say, time has gone. So, there could be excess in submission, loyalty, honor. There is excess in legalism too, in holiness. People can just be his tie scarf, this one. But do you know that moderate dressing is biblical? So by the time you go after moderation, and then rather than deal with the excesses, you now say, forget, it's not about what we wear. And then you say a tattoo, anybody can put anything on his body. Alaji Basira, are you aware of where you are going? Do you understand? So the older you get, now these are things some of us have said when we were younger. Do you understand? I mean, we used to chop madness. As you grow. And one thing that helps you is pastoring. You know, pastoring sees real life examples. Do you know, as a younger preacher, I never used to give examples. What I just did now, I wouldn't have done it. It's Greek, Hebrew explanation. And I'll be frowning. Bible teaching. But that was many years ago. When you now begin to ask, so how do we bring this to the lives of people? So you begin to think. The moment I say, someone say, forget about it. All these people casting out demons. Holy Ghost fire. Believers are delivered. True. But why did you say all these people casting out demons? You didn't have to say that one. Then you now have believers. They will see demons and they will baggy. They will run. One guy, he spoken about MFM. So we had the Bible study, 2007. So I now asked him a question. We're not talking about the move of the Spirit, the gifts of the Spirit. He now said that, I said, what if you see a man possessed of demons? What would you do? He said, there's nothing we can do. I said, I don't get it. He said, I'll just go to my room and ask God, what is his will about it? Why? Because he had criticized MFM. He had criticized all the people that, what's this man's name? Patrick Kanwuzia. So he had criticized those things. He had removed the growth with the organ. Do you understand? So be careful. In discipleship too, be careful. It's just like training children. I tell parents, say, this child is always talking. Then you now kill the person's potential. Because of that, a child will be excessive. But don't destroy the person's confidence. Some children, some people today, as adults, their confidence died with, you talk too much, sit down! Every time you ask question. Lord Shagusi, go and do the vegetables. And you now lose that sense, that confidence. to talk. You can help the child ask questions without destroying that confidence. Confidence, boldness, and courage are godly virtues. Is that clear? This is not part of our teaching, but it's okay, right? So make sure that in understanding correction, that's what the local church does. Do you get it? Local church, and I was saying to another pastor in the week, I said, I've said it to you before here. Some people read Bible scholars. You've heard me say many times, Bible scholars are specialists. There are people that, when you hear them on one area, they are almost flawless. If you ask them something also basic, they don't know anything about it. That cannot be a pastor. Now, another thing about scholars is that they grow in the academic world by criticizing other works. They call it peer review. Some people are now trying to introduce that into church doctrine. It's madness. Total madness. It's total madness. It's not the same thing. So the same way, when you are correct, you look at the results. You have a pastoral thinking. How do I ensure that this guy, right, in spite of his excess here, this looks like more like a workers' meeting. But it's okay, right? It got to that point. How do I ensure that this is not defeated whilst we are trying to correct another thing? That's why I use the example of a surgeon. Because at the end of the day, the best surgeons are the ones who save lives. It's not as many surgeries that you do. We did 69 surgeries this month. Yes? 69! This hospital is the best in Nigeria. 69 surgeries. How many survivors? We didn't take note of that. You didn't take note of that. He said, don't go to that place. It's a cemetery. Don't go there. So it's like, after correcting, how many souls were won? How many ministers? You get it? And that's important. Is that clear? Rightly dividing the word of truth. Preaching it with caution and carefulness.